Okay, we're live. Today we're covering. Oh, I can share my screen. Okay. All right, today we're talking about basic control structures. Before we jump into today's content on if statements and while loops, let's go back briefly to look at our homework from Tuesday. So this is day 2. Our exercises down here. So I think this is where I left you yesterday, was lists and dictionaries. Create a dictionary: food, where key equals type of food, value equals the list of that type of food, and then test whether fruit are among your dictionary keys. If not, add fruit. So and then test whether bananas are among your fruit. So how did you guys have any trouble with this? Was this okay? Let's just spend a few minutes doing this. I'm going to create a dictionary of food. And in this dictionary, I'm going to have potato, which is a vegetable, and potato chips, which are a snack. And so if I look at food here, now I've got potato, which is a vegetable, potato chips, which are snacks. Test whether fruit are among my dictionary keys. So here I will test if fruit is in food. Oh, sorry, this should be the type of food. This is, and we were going to use a list, right? Okay, I'm sorry. So this is a vegetable, and then we have a potato like this. Yeah, and then sorry, that's right. So the key is going to be the type of food, and then snacks. And then we're going to have a list. So a list of snacks would be like potato chips and maybe Snickers. Okay, let's add tomato or lettuce. Okay, right. So this is, so now I have a food where I have vegetable, and here's a list of vegetables, and I have okay, so now I want to test whether fruit are among my dictionary keys. So fruit, I can test keys here, and fruit is not among my keys, right? What are in my keys? What are my keys going to show here?
Vegetables and snacks.
Yeah. Yep. So vegetables and snacks. Okay, and I can test whether bananas are among my fruit. Oh, and if not, add a fruit to my dictionary. Okay, so let me add. So what fruit should I add? Not a banana, but something else.
Pineapple.
Okay, so here, the key, I'm going to add the key of fruit, and I'm going to add a list of fruits. So pineapple, and let's add one more. Apple. Okay. So now I can verify that my food has 3 lists, 3 keys, right? Vegetables, potato and lettuce, snacks, potato chips and Snickers, fruit, pineapple, and apple. Are bananas among my fruit? So I can use banana in, and to access the fruit list, I need to refer this. So is this going to work? Bananas in food. What's that going to give me? So this is returning false. So I think this is actually returning the keys. So let's test this. So here, when I just use food without the dot keys, I think it's actually just returning basically the same thing. So, but banana is not going to be in food because it's not among my keys. It's a fruit. So here I can test that apple is in my fruit, but but banana is not. And so in that case, I want to add banana to my list of fruit. And so here, I'm going to access my list, right? Which is, this is a list of fruit, and I'm going to append banana. So now if I look at food, now my fruit has, my fruit list has banana. Okay, I don't like bananas. Remove all bananas from fruit. So here, I can access my fruit list and I can remove bananas. Okay. And now I don't need fruit, but I want to keep the category. So how can I keep fruit as an empty list? Well, I can just reassign it as an empty list like this. And now if I double check, well, I can just look at food altogether. Right, I have my vegetables list, my snacks list, and fruit here is an empty list. And now if I want to remove fruit entirely as a key, so here I was just removing the items in the list, right? Another thing I could have done so another way to clear this list is to use clear. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Leila, you're right. So so we can just use now fruit is, what is that? That's a list. So I can use, for that I can use clear. And now if I check food, it's right. So you can either redefine the list. I mean, redefine this key as an empty list, or you can take the existing list and clear it. Right? And both of those are acceptable solutions. Okay, now if I want to remove fruit entirely from food, how do I remove a key? So do you remember what's our, any ideas? How do you remove a key from the dictionary? We can't remove, remember with dictionary, we can't use the remove function, right? So you can use pop an item, but you can't use remove. So let's try this. So if I tried food, remove, fruit, right, it should give me an error because dictionary doesn't have the attribute remove. But if I run food pop, fruit, Now it pops the list, which was empty, and we can verify that fruit is that fruit is no longer a key in our food dictionary. Okay, great. So, and then quickly, this second exercise, dictionaries and lists. I'm going to create a dictionary called bands, where the key is the band name and the value is the music. So bands, and let's see, what's a band name that you like? Let's say girls. Yeah, what do we like? What do we like? The Beatles. Okay. Okay, so we have Beatles. And let's say their music genre is rock. And let's say Girls' Generation, which is K-pop. Okay, so we've created the band. Dictionary. And let's create a dictionary for soloists. I'm just going to copy this. So we have, I don't know how to spell her name, Nicki Minaj, is that right? And let's say she's a pop singer, and let's see, who's a soloist that we like?
Ariana Grande.
Rihanna, is that right? And what's her genre? Would we also say pop? Okay, so I know I'm spelling her name wrong. Is it an H? Oh gosh, Ariana. Sorry. I was thinking of Rihanna and then Ariana. All right, confusing. All right, so we got our soloist, Ariana Grande. Okay, so I have a band dictionary and a soloist dictionary, but now I want to create a list called performers, whose elements are the dictionary's bands and soloists. So here I can create performers, right? This is a list, bands and soloists. Like this. Okay. And now to access the performers, how many bands and soloists are among my performers? So how many? So I was actually thinking about this exercise, dictionaries and dictionaries and lists, and I think it would actually be better if we make this dictionaries and dictionaries, right? Because here bands and soloists are a great way to reference these dictionaries, and this is going to introduce, we're going to have to introduce some additional indexing, which is less intuitive. So let's try this with lists first, and then let's try it with dictionaries. So with a list, how many bands and soloists are among my performers? So for bands, that's going to be, remember bands is a 0 index. So I can test, oops, sorry, I didn't define it yet. Performance. Okay, so 2 performers. Let's add one more here. Eric Clapton, blues. Okay, so we have different ones. All right. So how many performers in bands? 2. Sorry. and how many performers in soloists. So what am I going to do to change this?
We have to replace 0 by 1.
Okay, right. So change that to 1. Okay, so we have 3 performers. Is there a rock band among your performers? So, but again, I don't like this indexing. I want to instead, let's do this using a dictionary of dictionaries. So instead, I'm going to define this as, so my key is going to be bands, and then the dictionary bands, and my key soloist is going to be my dictionary for soloists. Whoops. Sorry. Okay, now the number of performers and bands, instead of using a 0 index, because this is a dictionary now, because it's a dictionary now, I can look at bands. Right. And for the number of performers in soloists, right? So it's easier to index it if I have qualitative or strings for indices. Then I want to use then dictionary might be a better option than this. Okay, and then what else was I going to do? Is there a rock band among your performers? So a rock band. Okay, so I want to see rock band among performers. So here, performers, bands. So there is rock. How would I test it to get that? So here's the dictionary. What am I going to use to get at rock and K-pop here? Great. Yeah, I'm going to use the values function. So I use values. Right? So that returns that. And then I want to see, is rock in that list of values? And it is. So performers bands returns that dictionary. The values returns the type of the genre of music. Right. And then is there a rock band? Let's see if there's a blues band and a blues. Let's see. Yeah, and a rock soloist among your performers. So, so is there do we have rock among our soloists? False. So if I wanted to test if I have rock group among my band and my soloists, sorry, then I can combine these two. Right. So this is do I have a rock soloist among my performers? And then test both together. And that's false because I do have a rock band, but I don't have a rock soloist. Okay, so you might have had slightly different solutions. Also, I think this is a good example of where a dictionary and dictionary might be better than a dictionary and list. Both would have been fine. Here, if I was using lists instead of dictionaries, I would have just replaced these with 0 and 1 index. So okay, that's day 2, and I'll update that later. Any questions about the Any questions, or did you do this differently a little bit? Anything about the homework assignment? Did you guys run into any trouble with it? Have any problems with it? Okay. Well, are we ready for day 3 then?
Yes.
Let's take that. Okay, so today I'll update the video recording of this afternoon. We were gonna do, so today is basic control structures. If we have selection statements, if, and repetition statements, while and for. Today we're actually only going to cover if and while, and I think we're going to save for loops for tomorrow. So let me introduce, selection statements and repetition statements. Here's a useful tutorial about if statements. It covers a little bit of what we're going to do today, but not everything. So first of all, you can use if statements with logical conditions. Like we've talked about these logical conditions before, equals, not equals. Remember, if you're using equals as a logical condition, you have to use 2 equals and not 1 equal sign is the assignment operator. 2 equal sign is the logical test of whether 2 things are equal. Not equals, exclamation point in equals, less than or equal to, greater than equal to. So let's start with some, go back to our example of fruits and vegetables and see if we have the same number of cabbage and carrots. So I'm gonna create some fruit and vegetables and our produce. And again, I'm using produce here instead of a list of dictionaries. I'm going for a list of lists. I'm going to use a dictionary of lists. So produce I'm defining as a dictionary, where fruits are our fruit basket and vegetables are our vegetable basket. So to check the number of cabbage and carrots, I could create variables like cabbage count and carrot count like this. And cabbage count is going to count the number of cabbages in the vegetable basket, and carrot, this vegetables.count will count the number of carrots. Okay, and then I've created some statements here to kind of report on these values. So print the number of cabbages, and then the cabbage count, print the number of carrots and the carrot count. What's this \t doing here?
Space.
What's that?
Space.
Yeah, so \t, this is a tab. So you can use these \. There's several of these escape characters, like other examples include like \n. We also had, so sometimes you'll have an escape character like a quote, right, where you want to include you would use this to include the quote in a string, which is also being defined by quotes. But these, you can also use these in I think there's like 3 of them, these ones at least, so the \t in a string will actually tab, a character will tab forward 1 tab, and the \n will go down a line. So so I'm printing I'm using the print function here, which will whatever you put in the print function separated by commas, it will concatenate into a string and put a space between them. So this is cabbages. I could also write it like this. So that's another way you could write it. Okay, and then I'm reporting my cabbage count, my carrot count, what's in my fruit basket, vegetables, and produce dictionary. So there's that. Now I want to see, do I have the same number of cabbage as carrots? Right? So I can test whether cabbage count equals the carrot count, and it's true. So if the number of cabbages equals the number of carrots, then add a cabbage. Right? So we're going to use the if statement here. If with the parentheses followed by a colon, and inside of the if statement, we're going to put this logical statement. The thing that whatever we put in this, we can put anything in this if statement as long as it returns a Boolean value, true or false. Right? So we can put in this equivalency statement, cabbage count equals carrot count. Since we know it does, then if this is true, then we're going to add a cabbage. Right? So I'm going to run that. And then we can verify that we added a cabbage. So I want you to define a function really quickly, right? Because I don't want to print this up every single time. I don't want to paste that every time. So to create a function, let me say one other thing about the if statement. So Boolean value here, and then whatever you have inside of the if statement has to be indented. So it has to be indented. If I do this, it's going to run an error because my if statement is empty. There's nothing following the if statement which is indented, right? Oops, sorry. Let's do this very quickly. So right now, my cabbage count, let's see. Well, no, I don't do that. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, so our vegetables are here now. Okay, so let's create a function to report our produce. So to create a function, you write def, which is defined, and then the name of the function, and then these parentheses, and you put any parameters in here. So this function, the only parameter used in all of these lines, the only variable that we're using is produce. So, and with the colon, and then everything that's that you want to include in this function has to be indented as well, just like the if statement, right? So I'm just copying and pasting these, except I'm rewriting everything in terms of produce, right? So instead of vegetables.count, I'm accessing vegetables through my dictionary. So produce vegetables, count cabbage, produce vegetables, count carrots. Here's my list of fruits, here's my list of vegetables, and here's the dictionary. So I'm going to define that function. When I run it, it doesn't print anything. It just created that function. And now if I run produce report on produce, now you can see my cabbage has been updated here with the cabbage count. Because I added a cabbage here, carrots, and you can see here the cabbage has been added to my vegetables. So if I run cabbage count here, what am I going to get? What's my cabbage count right now?
1.
Yeah, if I run this, I'm going to get 1, right? Which is a problem because vegetables has 2 cabbage, right? So why is my cabbage count 1? Right. So because I defined cabbage count up here as using this, right? Vegetables.count. This did not, cabbage count is not, this variable does not automatically update every time I change vegetables. So even though I changed vegetables, cabbage count is still saved to the number 1, right? So that's a problem, right? So we didn't update our counts. So if I update the counts now and then print them, right, now cabbage count is 2. Okay, so now we can check our produce report, and that's the same. Actually, we don't need that. Okay, so we either need to update our counts. So one way to update our counts here, if cabbage count equals carrot count. Yeah, so let me remove a cabbage now. Let's see, no, let's see. So we either need to update our counts like this. We can add a cabbage, and then we can update our cabbage count inside of the if statement, right? So if this if statement is going to add a cabbage when these are equal, then we need to update our cabbage count. So what's going to happen if I run this right now?
To add one cabbage and then update cabbage count.
So it would, except that right now our cabbage count is 2 and our carrot count is 1. So
Oh, then nothing would happen.
yeah, so nothing's going to happen, right? Because when we run this statement, right, it's not true. It's false. So it's going to skip it, right? So when we run this, nothing happens, and our produce report stays the same. Let's vegetables count. Sorry. Remove a cabbage, and let's also update our cabbage count. Right, and now if we look, oops, sorry. Okay, so now we have 1 cabbage and 1 carrot, and if we run this again, our produce is the same, and our cabbage count matches here. And that's a little bit annoying, because you have to be very careful then to update your counts every time that you're adding or removing, right? So another way is just to eliminate the count variables altogether. So in the if statement, our if statement doesn't have to rely on variables. We could just pull the actual count every single time, right? So here are vegetables count, cabbage, and the carrot count, right? And then we append cabbage, right? And now we've added a cabbage. Well, we didn't because it was let's remove this again. Remove the cabbage. Verify that it's 1 and 1, right? And now if we run this, it's been appended, right? So one way to solve this problem is either to update our counts as we add. A second way to deal with it is just to remove the variables and do the counts like as we need them. Okay, what about, let's use another example. So we're going to refresh our basket here. Do we have fewer vegetables than fruits? So here we can use our lists, vegetables and fruits, find their lengths, and use, oops, sorry, less than or equal to. True, right? How many vegetables do we have? How many fruits and vegetables do we have right now?
Six fruits and 3 vegetables.
Right. So let's do the same thing. I'm gonna switch over to the dictionary, right? So this is the same thing. Instead of accessing the vegetable list directly, I'm going to use my produce dictionary and the vegetable list here. And this is going to be the same thing, right? And we can verify in our produce report. Oh, we already have that. Okay. Oh, so but our produce report does not is not reporting on the number of fruits and vegetables now. So why don't we update our produce report? So let's update this to the number of fruits and veggies instead. So how am I going to do this? Any suggestions?
Links fruits and links vegetables.
Sure, but except I'm only passing in produce. So I need to access them through the produce dictionary. So I could do that. Well, so I can't use a list because of 0 and 1 because produce is a dictionary, right? So I actually need to access the vegetables list like this with the word vegetables and the word fruits, and then I can get their links like this. So I'm just gonna update it like this. Right. So I'm gonna get produce fruits that list and then calculate the length, and that will be the number of fruits, and then that's the number of vegetables. Okay. Now, so this should be this is redefining my produce report to report the number of fruits and veggies, and then to show those the lists of fruits and vegetables and my produce dictionary. And so let's do that, and let's run that. Okay, so now I have an updated produce report, number of fruits, number of veggies. Okay, I also want to define a variable extra veggies. I'm just going to define a list of extra veggies with these kale, sweet potatoes, cauliflower, and green beans. Okay, and now if the number of veggies is less than the number of fruits, then I want to add some extra veggies. Okay, so right now I have 6 fruits and 3 veggies. So if the number of vegetables is less than or equal to the number of fruits, then I want to add some veggies. So I'm going to do that by testing whether I have fewer or equal number of vegetables to fruits. And if this is true, right? So let's test. True, right? Then I want to add extra veggies. So vegetables plus equals extra veggies. Remember, we said yesterday this is the same as vegetables plus, equals vegetables plus extra veggies, right? So this notation here, the plus equals, is the same as this notation here. I'm just gonna... Okay, so I can. Okay, so and then oh yeah, I mentioned that. Okay, and then I don't need to update my vegetable count because I'm not going to use the counts anymore. Okay, so I'll run that. And now we can verify in our produce report, we now have 7 veggies because we added kale, sweet potatoes, cauliflower, green beans. Remember that the plus, right, adding 2 lists together just concatenates their elements all into the same list. Right? It just adds the elements of both lists into one large list. And then our produce dictionary has also reflects that. Vegetables has the full, all 7 veggies. Right? Okay, so that's the if statement. Let me introduce the else statement. So I'm going to refresh our basket and run our produce report here. So we're back to 3 veggies. And if we have fewer veggies than fruits, let's add extra veggies. It's the same exercise, but let's use the else statement to report what we've done. Right. So here, the if statement. I don't want to use those variables anymore. So here's the number of vegetables. Here's the number of fruits. Right. If this is true, let's check if it's true. Okay, if this is true, then we want to, if we have fewer vegetables than fruits, then let's add the extra veggies. And then let's confirm that we've done that by saying we added some extra veggies and like what those are. If it's not true, then let's report no changes. We can print that no veggies were added. Right? So if I'm going to run this, what's going to happen?
We added some extra veggies.
Right. So we added some extra veggies, and we can verify this with the report. Right. Let's run this again. What's going to happen if we run it again?
No veggies were added.
Right, because now we have 7 veggies. So if we run this again, this length of the veggies, this will have 7 veggies here is not less than or equal to 6, which is the length of fruits. And actually, let's just add this report into each one. So in either way, we're going to actually, we could do it like that, or we can just add the report here. Here. Right. So if I add this line here, it's outside of the indentation, right? So everything that's indented here is going to happen in the case of if. Everything that's indented here is going to happen in the case of else. And then to get outside of the else loop, the if and the else, outside of the if and else statement, you just go back to the without indentation, remove the indentation, right? So this is going to produce a report whether or not we've added veggies. So, and as you said, now we have 7 veggies, so it should bypass this and just report this. So let's run that. Right, it says no veggies were added, and here's our number of fruits. Maybe I want to add a space between this and this. So here in this print statement, I'm going to add a \n. I'll run this again. Right, and now that \n created a space here. So remember, we talked about the \t, \n inside of strings. That's a carriage return and returns a line. So, okay. Okay, so now I'd like to move on to using the in operator. So we've already talked about checking if using this in operator to see if items are contained in strings, right? Sorry, in lists. So we know that fruits here. Oops, sorry. Well, we can just do our produce report. Okay, so here's our produce report. Our vegetables. Do our vegetables contain asparagus? Yes. So asparagus in produce vegetables should run true. Do we have a watermelon in our fruits? No. So watermelon in produce fruits will return that. Watermelon not in produce fruits. This is the opposite, right? Because not works with the in operator. And remember, we can also check the not operator also works here. right? To kind of negate the true statement, whatever this Boolean statement is. So watermelon and fruits will be false, and not false will be true. So this also works. Okay, so let's use this in operator to remove asparagus if it's in our veggie basket. So I'm going to give you a minute to code this. It should just have two lines, the if statement and then the remove statement. So go ahead and write that, and you can add it. You can add it to the chat when you're done, if you like. Okay. Somebody want to add their code to the chat? Great. So this would be okay. So if asparagus in vegetables remove asparagus. So if asparagus is in the veggie basket, then we can remove it. Okay, so let's check first. So we know that asparagus is currently in our basket. Let's run this. And now let's check our produce report. And asparagus has been removed from vegetables. Great. And there's another example here. Using the produce dictionary. Okay, and I'm gonna add. Okay, so what's this gonna, so I like this one too because it accesses the vegetables list through the produce dictionary. Produce, okay. The only thing here is if we want to remove asparagus from the produce, from the veggie dictionary, we have to use that. So produce veggies remove asparagus. So if we run this, what's going to happen?
Error, sorry, I defined veggies like incorrectly, should be vegetables.
Oh yeah, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, Python is smart, but not that smart. Okay, so if asparagus is in vegetables, right now it's not in vegetables, right? So if we run this, it should bypass this statement. This if asparagus and produce should return false. So if false, then we'll move to the else and print that. So okay, no asparagus removed. Okay. And why do we need an if statement to do this? Why can't we just run this and just you know? The reason why we need the if statement is because if there is no asparagus to remove and we run this, we're going to get an error because asparagus is not contained in the vegetable list, right? And so that's why, in order to avoid generating the error, we only want to remove the item if the item is in the list to remove, right? So that's why we need an if statement. So let's do this next exercise as well. Let's add if watermelon is not in our fruit basket, let's add watermelon. And let's go ahead and include these statements to say what we've done. So with an if and else. Let's see. Okay, so go ahead and upload that code when you're done. It'll take about 30 seconds. So. We can verify that watermelon is currently not in our fruit basket. So somebody uploaded to chat when you're ready. Okay, great. So if
Sorry,
not
it should be in instead of if.
Sure. Gotcha. Okay, if not watermelon in produce fruits, then produce fruits append watermelon. Perfect. Okay, and if we add the this kind of reporting, but again, this is not necessary, but I'm just doing it to kind of illustrate to show like which statement we followed, if we followed the if statement or the else. So added watermelon. Else. Print. We already have. Great, perfect. And I'm actually going to report how many watermelon we have. So we already have, comma. Fruits. Watermelon. Watermelon. Okay. So I have a print statement here with 3 items. We already have, and then this is going to give us the count, the watermelon count, and then watermelon. Okay. So, so if let's run this, and let's also print our produce report at the end. Okay, so we added a watermelon. Right. This carriage return gives us a space, and there's our produce report, and you can see that we have a watermelon. Right? So let's run this one more time. Now that we have a watermelon, this should return false, and we should print this. Right? So let's try it again. So we already have one watermelon. So now we've gone into the else statement, and we can see we already have one watermelon. Okay, great. Let me introduce the else statement. So let's say we have A equals 7 and B equals 6. Okay. A equals 7, B equals 6, and then we can use elif. It's an additional if statement following our initial if statement. So if A is greater than B, then print A is greater than B. Else, elif, which elif means else if elif B greater than A, then print B is greater than A. Okay, so here A is equal to 7, b is equal to 6. So 7 is greater than 6, so we print a is greater than b. So, but now let's change these. So now if a is 5 and b is 6, then a greater than b will be false, and we should go to elif b greater than a. Sorry, yeah, 6 is greater than 5, that's true, so we should print b is greater than a. Right. And then we can check, we can also add on an else statement at the end of that. So we've got we can have if a is greater than b, else if b is greater than a, and then we have an else statement. What's the else statement capturing here?
None of these conditions met.
Yeah, and logically, what does that mean for these? If a number is not, if a is not larger than b and it's not less than b, then what is it?
Equal.
So either a is greater than b, or b is greater than a, or they're equal, right? So you can use, we have three cases here, right? A is greater than b. We can rewrite, I mean, this is the same as a less than b, a greater than b, a less than b. Or a is equal to b, right? So here a equals, here when a is 5 and b is 6, then we should get a is less than b. If we set a to 7 and b to 6, then we should get a is greater than b. And if we set them equal to each other, now we get a is equal to b. So this is how you can use if and elif and else statements to create a kind of a series of logical tests. But on you to make sure that that these are logically consistent. Right? So, you know, Python doesn't know that a greater than b, a less than b, and a equal to b are kind of mutually exclusive and fully spanning kind of conditions, right? So you have to kind of make sure that your logic is sound when you're using these. But let's use an example of this. So here's our basket, right? We have 3 veggies and 6 fruits. So let's use an if, elif, and elif to do these 3 things. So if we have fewer veggies than fruits, then let's add more vegetables. If we have more veggies than fruits, then let's add fruit. Right? And if they're equal, then let's add 1 vegetable and 1 fruit. So this is going to take a little time. Why don't we take about 1 or 2 minutes to code this example? Yeah. And you can be creative here as you are adding veggies and adding fruits. You can either add them one at a time or in, you know, or 2 or 3. You can add a list of vegetables or fruits. It's up to you. But for the last condition, if they're equal, then add 1 of each. I'll give you a minute and go ahead and upload your code to the chat when you're done. It should be about 6 lines total. All right, and go ahead and upload your code to the chat when you're done, so I know at least one of us is following along. Okay. Ooh. All right, Uma got fancy. We got reports with everyone. So, okay, if the length of vegetables is less than the length of fruits, that's right. Then append cucumber, right? And then report that more veggies are added. Perfect. Else, if they're okay, let's see here. Else, if they're equal, append cucumber to the vegetables and add a dragon fruit to fruits. Okay, so, and then else if append dragon fruit to fruits. Right. So Gulnar's code is actually testing in this order, right? She's testing if okay, so this code is actually going to do something yeah. No, it's okay. That's fine. Yeah, you could. We can change these. That doesn't matter. Okay, so the order of these statements actually matters because let's say we have let's consider case one where we have five veggies, 6 fruits. Okay, and let's consider another case 2 where we have 5 veggies and 7 fruits, and case 3 where we have 5 veggies, 5 fruits. So in case 1 where we have 5 veggies and 6 fruits, here's our original logic. So in the case of 5 veggies and 6 fruits, what are we going to do?
Add vegetable.
Yeah, so we're going to add a vegetable, right? So and then so this will be 6 veggies and 6 fruits, right, at the end. Yeah. Okay, if we have 5 veggies and 7, oh sorry, I meant like this. So in this case, this will add 6 veggies. Yeah, in this case, we have fewer fruits and veggies, and we'll add a fruit, 6 fruits, right? And then here, if we have 5 veggies, 5 fruits, and we add 1 of each, that should be 6 fruits, right? Okay, that's great. So, okay, so here we're testing. Does it matter that we're changing the order? So. So first we're testing if Okay, I guess in this one, I was getting caught up on the logic, but I think this will be fine. So if yeah, if we change the order, first we can check, are there fewer veggies than fruits? In this case, we'll add one if they're, so we'll add one, and then else if they're equal. Well, let's try this then. Okay, so our initial fruit basket has 3 veggies and 6 fruits. So here we have fewer veggies and fruits, and so we've added more veggies. More veggies were added, and we can test the produce report. Show the produce report. Okay, we have 4 veggies. Let's keep running this, right? And I can just add the produce report here. So now we have and now we have 3 cucumbers. So we have the number of fruits and vegetables is equal, right? And now if we run it one more time, what are we going to have?
Both should be added.
Yeah.
Yeah, more fruits were added.
So here, let's run it again. Yeah. More of each were added, and now we've added a dragon fruit and a cucumber. Great. And if we just keep adding this now, it should just keep doing, because they're equal and we're adding equally, right? So it will just keep going. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So just I think I was confusing myself about the order of these. As long as these are logically separate statements, the order in this case doesn't matter. Yeah, so this is great. Okay. And we can also, yeah, we replace that last statement with else. Perfect. So this could have also been elif with the with this statement like this. But since logically this is the only other possible outcome, we can all just use the else statement. So okay, great. So that's the if, elif, and else. And let's move on to the while loops. So here's a link to some tutorial about while loops. While loops are pretty simple. We have 2 variables here. You have a logical statement here, A less than B. It's the same kind of conditional statement that you have with ifs, right? You can either have conditionals like equals, or not equals, greater than, less than. So, and basically this loop is, as long as this condition is true, this statement is going to repeat itself again and again and again and again and again, right? So here, A is 3, B is 6. So this statement is true. As long as this is true, I'm going to add 1 to A, right? And it ran, and then it stopped running. Why did it stop running? Because A and B are both 6 now, right? So so let's observe this in real time. So we've got A and B are 3 and 6, and I'm going to, as long as that statement is true, I'm gonna increment A with 1, and then I'm gonna print out A and B, right? So you can see this while loop repeated 3 times, right? It repeated once, updated A to 4, and then again to 5, and then again to 6, right? So that's what a while loop does. You can get in trouble with while loops because let's say you have this. What's this going to do?
It will infinitely print A and B.
yeah, this is trouble, right? This is going to cause us some trouble. This is going to, if A is 3 and B is 6, so I'm just going to write a warning here that you'll have to stop, interrupt. Right, to interrupt the kernel. So I'm going to run this, right? And it's just going. It's going and 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 going. And this will go infinitely until you, and you can tell here with this star here that it's still running, right? And then until you stop it. Right? And so, like, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of times it ran, right? Until I pushed that button and I interrupted it. Right? So it's a keyboard interrupt, right? So while loops are a little bit dangerous because you have to make sure that whatever you're doing in here eventually makes this statement not true, so that you exit that statement. Otherwise, it's going to just keep going forever. Okay. So let's refresh our produce basket. And do we have fewer vegetables than fruits? So let's add some veggies until we have an equal number of veggies and fruits. Let's add veggies. Yeah. So I'm going to give you a minute here. Let's use a while loop to test whether we have fewer fruits than vegetables. And as long as that statement is true, as long as we have fewer vegetables than fruits, let's keep adding veggies. Okay. So this should just be 2 lines of code, and unless you want to add some extra code for reporting. But let's go ahead and write that out, and then let's add it to the chat. Okay. Okay, Gulnur wrote this. Okay, this part I like. Right, this part we have a few issues. Who can say, Gulnur, or if somebody else, can we say what's wrong with this statement here? Great. Yeah, so Layla offers the following. So this is good. We have the number of produce vegetables list and the number of this. This is good, but we're also missing a couple of things. What are we missing in this statement? Any ideas? Yeah, so we're missing the colon at the end. So let's run that. And that's going to give us an error as well. Why is that an error? We're missing one other thing about this statement. This part, the logical part, is great. That part's fine. That part's fine. Oh yeah, so this has to be in quotes. That's true. Okay, let's try that. Okay, something didn't happen though. Let's see if that. produce report. Okay, yeah, that works. I think what I was expecting was I thought this had to be in parentheses, but apparently that doesn't. So okay. Produce report, great. So this added before we had 3 veggies and 6 fruits, and now we've got 6 veggies and 6 fruits, and we've added the 3 tomatoes. Okay, I'm sorry to background is been a bit noisy. Okay, so one more exercise today. Let's remove bananas. So you can see here that we have one banana, 2 bananas. Let's use the remove function to remove all bananas. Let's see. Okay, so let's use the while loop. Let's see, why do I need the? I don't think I need the if statement here. The in operator and the remove function. Yeah. So let's use the while loop to remove bananas as long as we have bananas in our basket. So let's go ahead and try that one. And then just update your code to chat. All right, great. So we've got while banana in produce fruits, remove banana. Right. Okay, so great. I think we both agree on that. Yeah, and so here we've added these brackets, and I think that I think we can use them or not use them. Okay, let's run it. And let's test. We ran it, and then we can see now that we have 4 fruits and the bananas have been removed, right? And we remove them one at a time. So perfect. This is great. Okay, tomorrow we're going to introduce for loops. For loops are very special in Python. Python handles the syntax for loops is a little bit different than for C++ or Java. Python relies heavily on lists, whereas C++ and Java rely on indexing. So for loops are a little bit unique in Python, and we'll cover that tomorrow. We'll also talk about list comprehensions, and then we'll start doing more complicated examples with nested repetition statements, like for inside of a for, or combining like if statements and while statements and while loops and for loops, kind of combining them all together to start building up to more complicated algorithms. I have a few exercises today. Exercise 1, 2, and 3. This is vegetables and the first one is the number of vegetables and fruits the same? Sorry. you can use the while and the if statement to add veggies and fruits one at a time until they're equal. And the reason why you'll need to do this is because, let's see. Because you'll need to test if the number of veggies and fruits are like less than or greater than or equal to. So you can use that. And then exercise number 2 is use if and else statements. So okay, so in this example, I want you to use the while loop to add veggies and fruits one at a time until they're equal. In exercise 2, I want you to use the if and else statements to add the difference all at once, right? And so here, for example, here the difference is there's 6 of them, and here there are only 3, right? So you can, here with the while loop, you can add like one at a time until they're equal. Or here I want you to calculate the difference between fruits and vegetables and add the difference all at once. Right? And so you might need to introduce a new variable for this, and this will be a fun example to talk about tomorrow. These 2 examples are using fruits and vegetables lists, and then you can recode exercise 2 using the produce variable instead of the fruits and variables, the produce dictionary instead of the fruits and vegetables lists. So that's just an exercise in recoding. So let's try these 3 exercises tonight, and we'll cover them tomorrow morning. Any questions about the exercises or anything that we've done today? So I'm sorry about the noisy background today. Tomorrow I will find a more quiet cafe. Okay, so if nothing else, I'll stop the recording and let's end it here today.